Their meeting had been short, too short to explain anything, too short to mean anything, and yet long enough to change everything. Larkeh sat by the window, her bag on her lap, eyes fixed on the road stretching ahead. The village disappeared slowly behind dust and banana trees. Her phone vibrated. She didn't open it. Back to the city meant back to schedules, emails, deadlines, being strong again. At work, Larkeh slipped into her usual rhythm. She reviewed reports, led meetings, corrected junior staff. From the outside, nothing had changed. But in the quiet moments, she remembered the way Daniel had smiled awkwardly at the cafe, the way he had stirred his tea like he didn't know what to do with his hands. She shook her head slightly. That was a plan. She returned to typing. Across town, Daniel woke early, not because he had to, but because he couldn't sleep. He jogged through the quiet neighborhood, sweat glistening under the early sun. Daniel had come home to prepare for work, for responsibility, for the life his father had planned. After his run, he helped the gardener trim the hedge. Later, he sat at the dining table as his father read the newspaper. His father spoke. "You will start in 2 weeks' time. I want you to observe first, learn how things work." Daniel replied, "Yes, sir," but his mind was elsewhere. That afternoon, both of them reached for their phones. At the same time, Larkeh during a break between meetings, Daniel standing by the window at home, neither called, neither texted. Sometimes distance is not measured in kilometers, but in restraint. That night, Daniel opened his wardrobe. He laid out shirts, folded them again, then stopped. "I'm preparing for work. Why do I feel like I'm preparing for something else?" Later that evening, Larkeh stared at the screen. A text from Daniel read, "Did you reach safely?" She smiled beside herself. She texted, "Yes, back to reality." A pause, then Daniel replied, "Reality feels quieter than I expected." Larkeh leaned back in her couch. The city lights blinked outside her window. She texted back, "It usually does after the village." She hesitated, then added, "Thank you for earlier." Daniel read the message slowly and texted back, "Anytime." He stared at the phone longer than necessary. What started with one message turned into another, then another. What Larkeh thought would be a short, awkward arrangement slowly became routine. They spoke at night, after work, after exhaustion, after the world had asked Larkeh too many questions that day. Sometimes it was practical. Larkeh spoke on the phone. "So, if you come, you'll just meet my mother, nothing dramatic." Daniel with a light smile. "I'm good at being normal. You hired the right man." Other times, it wasn't. Daniel asked, "What kind of tea does she drink?" Larkeh replied, "Ginger, strong." Then Daniel, "Good. I'll need strength." They laughed, and slowly, the laughter lingered longer than planned. One night, Larkeh sat alone on her bed, phone glowing in her hand. Her mother had called earlier. Her mother asked with a voice full of concern, "My daughter, are you eating well? People ask me questions. I don't know what to tell them anymore." Larkeh closed her eyes. For years, she had protected everyone else from her truth. Her strength had become her silence. She opened Daniel's last message. "If you change your mind, tell me. No pressure." Larkeh typed, deleted, typed again. "What if you came just for a visit?" 3 dots appeared. Then a reply from Daniel. "I'll come." Larkeh's heart thudded. This was no longer hypothetical. The next morning, Larkeh called home. Her mother answered immediately. "My daughter." Larkeh inhaled deeply. "Mama, I have something to tell you." Silence. Larkeh spoke carefully. "There is a man. We have been talking." Her mother said, Nothing. Lake's voice trembled. He wants to visit, to greet you properly. A long pause. Then her mother spoke cautiously. So, you remembered you are my child? Tears sprang to Lake's eyes. I was afraid, Mama, her mother replied. Fear does not stop time, my daughter. Another pause. Then she continued. Tell me, is he respectful? Larkeh thought of Daniel kneeling in her imagination before it ever happened. Yes. Her mother exhaled slowly. Then let him come. Once word spread that Larkeh was bringing a man home, the village did what villages do best. They prepared. The compound was swept until the red soil looked polished. Old chairs were wiped and arranged under the mango tree. Extra firewood was stacked. Larkeh's mother supervised everything from her chair. That mat is too old. Bring the other one. No, that pot is for daily food. We shall cook properly. A neighbor leaned in, teasing. So, this one is serious? Larkeh's mother lifted her chin. We shall see. That evening, Larkeh called Daniel. She knows. Daniel asked, and? Larkeh replied, she's preparing. Daniel laughed softly. I feel like I'm about to sit an exam I didn't revise for. Larkeh smiled, for real. Just be yourself. Daniel grew quiet. I am. The line went silent, not awkwardly, but comfortably. Then Daniel said, You know, you don't sound tired when you talk about home. Larkeh blinked. You make it easier. She didn't know why she said it, but it was true. Back in the village, Larkeh's mother sat alone by the fire. She stared into the flames. A mother knows when her child is hiding something, but she also knows when to wait. She whispered quietly, God, let this one bring her peace. Before Daniel ever stepped into the village, he had already arrived in their lives. Through phone calls, through hope, through a lie that was beginning to feel dangerously like truth. When Daniel agreed to travel with Larkeh to the village, he believed he was stepping into a role, a character, a temporary version of himself. He did not know he was stepping into a life. The car slowed as the tarmac road gave way to red earth. Dust rose gently behind them. Children stopped playing and stared. A woman whispered. A man nodded knowingly. Larkeh sat quietly beside him, suddenly smaller, suddenly vulnerable. Daniel broke the silence. This is not a stage. These are real people. They arrived at the compound just as the sun leaned toward evening. A modest house, a mango tree heavy with fruit, chickens scratching freely, and there, on a wooden chair near the mango tree, sat Larkeh's mother. She was thinner than Larkeh had described, wrapped in a faded kitenge, her eyes tired but sharp. She looked at Daniel without smiling, then at Larkeh, then back at Daniel. The air grew heavy. This was the woman whose prayers had carried Larkeh through life, the woman whose disappointment Larkeh feared more than gossip. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He stepped forward slowly. Daniel leaned forward in reverence, not because Larkeh told him to, but because something inside him knew it was right. Daniel respectfully greeted, Good evening, Mama. Thank you for welcoming me to your home. The mother said nothing at first. She studied his hands, his eyes, the way he carried himself. Then she uttered, So, you are the one. Daniel nodded. Yes, Mama. She turned to Larkeh. You did not tell me he was this quiet. Larkeh exhaled, half smiling. He listens more than he speaks. The mother hummed softly. A test had begun. The days that followed were simple, and they changed everything. Daniel woke before sunrise to the sound of roosters. He fetched water with Larkeh, awkward at first, then laughing. He learned to wash his own plate, to greet elders properly, to sit and listen. The village noticed. One afternoon, Daniel helped repair a broken fence without being asked. An elder watched from a distance. Later, at the trading center, whispers followed him. "That one, he does not behave like a proud man." Another replied, "He has respect." Larkeh saw it too. The way he slowed his steps to match her mother's pace, the way he never interrupted when elders spoke, the way he looked at Larkeh not as a woman he hired, but as a woman he chose to stand beside. One evening, Larkeh found Daniel in the kitchen hut with her mother. Smoke filled the space. A pot bubbled gently. Daniel was pounding groundnuts badly. Mother spoke dryly. "You pound like someone who has never been hungry." Daniel smiled sheepishly. "Then teach me, Mama." She adjusted his grip. Their hands touched briefly. Something softened in her eyes. It was in that moment, not through money, not through words, that Daniel crossed from visitor to family. At night, Daniel and Larkeh sat outside, under the stars. No pretending, no performance, just silence and truth slowly surfacing. Daniel spoke. "Back home, everything is noise. Here, even the silence speaks." Larkeh looked at him and spoke. "This place shaped me." He nodded. "I see that now." Their hands brushed. Neither pulled away. One morning, as Daniel prepared to leave for the trading center, Larkeh's mother called him. She handed him a wooden chair. "Sit." He obeyed. She looked at him carefully. "A man who comes into a home carrying truth will always be welcome here." Daniel's throat tightened. He bowed his head. Larkeh watched from the doorway, tears quietly forming. She did not know then that this blessing was resting on a lie. But love had already taken root. When it was time to leave, the village gathered casually, but intentionally. Handshakes, smiles, quiet approval. Larkeh's mother held Daniel's hand a little longer. "Take care of her." Daniel met her eyes. "I will." And for the first time, he meant it. What began as an agreement had become attachment. What was meant to end in the village followed them back to the city. And love, now awake, would not be ignored. What will be the fate of Larkeh and Daniel? How long can two people live inside a lie when their hearts have already chosen the truth? Will Daniel confess before the blessing turns into betrayal? What will happen if Larkeh's mother discovers that the foundation of her approval was never real? And when they return to the city, will love survive outside the village soil that nurtured it? Or will the noise of the world undo what silence began? If this story moved you, tell me in the comments. Should Daniel tell the truth now or wait? Do you think the mother already suspects something? Like this video if you believe love can grow in unexpected places. Share it with someone who loves powerful African storytelling. And subscribe so you don't miss the next part, because what happens next will change everything. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.